I feel like I've been neglecting your comments, not answering your questions like a good doctor's supposed to do. So let's get to that. Does smelling Sharpies cause you to lose brain cells? I do not recommend huffing chemicals in any capacity. Sharpies would fall into that category. So please never do that. It's terrible for your brain. It's potentially deadly. I don't know, why are you asking me this question? Is it okay to use your own saliva to treat small cuts? No, why? Whose first instinct to get a cut and go, pooh? That's a weird instinct. That's what dogs do. And that's why I have to put the cone on the dog. Do you want me to put the cone on you? The human mouth has so much polymicrobial activity that if you get a human bite, you desperately need broad antibiotic coverage. Every now and then I wake up in the middle of the night with sleep paralysis and can't move. It's so scary. Is there any way to prevent it? 30-ish% of adults in their lifetime will have one episode of sleep paralysis. So it is fairly common. Trying to do your best to focus on sleep hygiene, making sure that you're not napping too close to bedtime, you're not over consuming alcohol, caffeinated products will help. Sometimes there's an underlying physical or mental health disorder that needs to be addressed. So doing a sleep study could be valuable, potentially getting a visit with a psychiatrist or a psychologist to see if there's a medication or therapies on board that can help. Very commonly for patients that have insomnia, I've been recommending CBTI, which is cognitive behavioral therapy focused specifically for insomnia. Can joints get stronger? Joints themselves are not strong or weak. Joints can be damaged, which can make them feel weaker, but the strength of a joint comes from the connective tissue and muscular tissue surrounding them. For example, when someone has, let's say, osteoarthritis of their knee, part of what we do in physical therapy is strengthening the muscles that end up protecting the knee while you walk. Because if you don't have good protection, every time you're taking a step, whether it's on your hip, on your knee, especially if you're carrying excess weight, you're putting more and wear and tear on that joint. My fiance refuses to take antibiotics because she's afraid it will kill all her good bacteria. Is there any truth to this? Taking antibiotics should be a decision that is medically decided with the notion of increasing benefit and decreasing harm. If you have a viral infection, which most people do when they have upper respiratory symptoms, taking antibiotics is not a good move because you will be harming your good bacteria and there is no bad bacteria to be had and attacked. But if you're really sick, if you're experiencing pneumonia, if you're experiencing strep throat, which can lead to rheumatic fever, there are instances where antibiotics should be used because we know that the benefit outweighs the harm. Does it harm good bacteria? Yeah. It also impacts your gut microbiome, which we still don't fully understand, but we do know that there is such thing as antibiotic-associated diarrhea, which is why many of my patients that are prone to this, and even ones who aren't, I recommend consuming probiotic-rich foods while taking antibiotics like yogurt, kimchi, sauerkraut, that kind of stuff. I have an energy drink every time I go to the gym, but my gym friends say it causes cancer. Is that true? First, I have to put right into the open, life causes cancer. If you live long enough, you'll develop some form of cancer. Overconsumption of energy drinks is a blight on humanity, is harming our sleep, creating health issues, is impacting our mental health. Can I say that it's doing that to you? I cannot. But I actually have seen a story that I believe Daily Mail have really blown out of proportion, saying that this ingredient, taurine, that you see in some of the popular energy drinks, causes turbocharged cancer because a study in Nature was looking at how the ingredient behaved in mice who had a specific type of blood cancer. And that's not what happened. It found that an already aggressive cancer became slightly more aggressive as this taurine was given, but that doesn't mean that's what's gonna happen to you and I as humans. The answer is if you have an energy drink every now and then, it's probably not the end of the world as long as you're young and healthy, but know that it can contribute to some heart arrhythmias. They can create issues with your mental health, again, your sleep, and then if you're messing with your sleep, you impact all sorts of other avenues within your life, including your cardiovascular health, your neurological health, etc. And I was actually looking into people using financial aid for sugary beverages. Nebraska Nebraska was one that was trying to ban sugary sodas and energy drinks from the benefits that come for the financial aid, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think if you're gonna be giving people money, subsidizing their livelihood, you should give them healthy food. If someone is receiving SNAP benefits, they're using those SNAP benefits to buy these unhealthy foods. They then get sick. They could potentially get so sick that they need dialysis and they end up getting federal benefits. You're really digging a hole for our healthcare system that we can't get out of. So if we can instead funnel those funds to healthier foods, that's a much better play for everyone involved. When we breathe, does some of that air go in and out of our stomach? How does the throat know which way to send air or food or water? The miracle that is the epiglottis that sits right on our little throat hole inside and allows us to breathe and air to go into our trachea and not into our esophagus. That being said, sometimes when you swallow, you also swallow air. And that's why if you're ever to get an x-ray, on an x-ray, air is seen as dark or black. That dark spot is air in your stomach because there is air in your GI tract from every time you swallow because you can't not swallow air. The air's everywhere. Does Rib have a go-to toy? Oh, look at this guy. Yeah, he does. Me. Am I your go-to toy? Yeah, I'm your go-to toy. How big did he get? He used to be so small. I used to just hold him in my little hands. Look at that smile, bro. Look at that. I just put up a video kissing him and then going like this. And people said I was causing him anxiety. Rib, do I cause you anxiety?
The eyes, Chico, they never lie.
I have a pillow that I think someone made me or someone sent me that is of me. And he doesn't really tear anything up at home, but he does carry around this pillow of me. Also, how random is this? I have Bear's baby teeth just hanging out on my desk. That's not for you, Rib. Silent Lover, how do you feel about online medical tests? I think I had ADHD. I took some online tests. Is that enough to know, or should I go see a regular doctor? I think it's not enough to just go see a regular doctor. A regular doctor and potentially a psychiatrist is the best move there. My hair started graying in my 20s. Why does our hair eventually lose color? Pigment, bruh. The pigment says deuces, just like mine is right now. In fact, in that video where I was kissing Rib, my hair looked really gray. But I think that the iPhone camera plays tricks on us sometimes. Is it dangerous to brush your teeth more than twice a day? Dangerous? No. Is it recommended by dental organizations that are smarter than me? Also no. I feel like your enamel will take a beating if you brush your teeth 10 times a day. BMO YouTube, how legit are sleep scores? Should I be tracking how well I sleep every night? BMO, here's how I think about it. Part of what it means to be healthy is trying to understand your body. So if you're going to sleep and you're having good sleep hygiene and you're waking up refreshed, what do you need a sleep tracker to tell you whether or not you're getting good sleep? The device is either gonna tell you what you already knew, or it could potentially tell you something wrong that will impact how you feel. Because if you had a good night's sleep and you woke up feeling well rested, but then I give you false results off your watch and tell you you actually had a terrible night's sleep, your performance will drop. That's been studied. And there's a whole set of anxieties that come around this sleep tracking called orthosomnia that has been described in medical literature. So don't get anxious about it. I've heard sleeping on a hardwood floor is actually good for your spine. Is this true? I would not recommend it. If you want to get some relief for back pain, getting a firm supportive mattress that still has a soft surface is ideal so that it is able to cradle the surfaces but still support your spine so that you're not completely uneven. Part of a good sleep posture is making sure you have the correct pillow for your preferred sleeping position. For example, if you like to sleep on your side, you're gonna need a little bit more support. If you sleep on your back, you might want a thinner pillow. But no, I don't recommend on hardwood floor sleeping. I think there are better options. Why is my ring finger so janky? Why is it worse than every other finger? Maybe you don't want to get married. Maybe it's just your finger's instinct to say, YOLO, I'ma roll solo. My suspicion is you either overused it or you've had some sort of injury. For example, I have some janky fingers, and a lot of it comes from jamming my fingers playing basketball or being a goalkeeper when I was in high school playing soccer. And the reason why I'm thinking injury and trauma versus an autoimmune joint disease issue is because it's only present in one finger. So if it's something systemic, I would expect it to be on both sides. But if you just have one finger impacted, it's likely due to some kind of overuse, some kind of trauma. Not with 100% 100% certainty, but that's where my mind goes. My biggest concern with 23andMe is that someone's DNA can end up in the wrong hands. What if government starts cloning people? How are you gonna prove that you're the real you against your clone? We need to make a movie. I'm sure that there is a movie made about this, but I feel like we need to work in 23andMe in it, but we should call it like 46andYou, just so that we don't get sued, because I feel like the company that bought all the records that came with 23andMe is probably trying to maximize that financial investment in our medical records and in the lawsuits that it can trigger against people. My dad has a really dark neck, and your video got me to check with a doctor, and it was very serious. Thank you, Dr. Mike, for this. Without this video, it might have been too late. That's amazing, Janine. Thank you for sharing that with me. What you're probably describing is acanthosis nigricans, which is a darkening of skin folds that can happen with someone who has adrenal issues or perhaps insulin issues related to a form of diabetes. In general, for your skin, if you see new moles pop up that look atypical and weird, definitely get them checked out. Or dark lines on the fingernail, also very important. Is it possible for taste buds to change over time so you end up liking something later in life that you didn't when you were younger? Yeah, they do change. You do have a capacity to enjoy things that were once perhaps too bitter for you. Do I have a medical reason as to why they change? No, I don't. There's definitely a change that does occur. Hey doc, do you have any tips for dealing with Osgood-Schlatter's? I've dealt with Osgood-Schlatter's. Usually activity modification, icing, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories will do the trick. Physical therapy, obviously, as well. But for me, KT tape. I put it on, I left it on for several days. I swear to God, I never had a problem afterwards. How often should I wash my bath towel? I think after every bath or two, after every shower or two is a reasonable move here. The problem with bath towels is moisture builds up. Sometimes they're hung in a way where part of it is not getting good aeration. That's gonna create fungal growth. You don't wanna be rubbing fungus on your freshly clean skin, especially if you're somebody that's prone to skin irritation, which so many of us are. What's your process for deciding who you invite on your podcast? It's topical based on what's happening in the world today. It's conversations that I genuinely enjoy and want to have. I think if there's a public health need, like currently we're looking for a really good expert to talk about headaches, I'm open to suggestions. If there's someone you want to see on the pod, drop it down below in the comments. Who is Sam? Dr. Mike's friend, his roommate, boyfriend, fiance, husband, family member. I'd like to know. Sam is the managing editor of the Dr. Mike channel. He is the one that has gathered these questions. So if you want to bribe him, please email him. His email is samdonaldbowers@gmail.com.
Yeah, on that spectrum, which one is he?
All of the above. Whatever I need that day.
That's right.
How accurate do you think the 911 show is? I know it isn't medically based, but there's some medical stuff in it. Okay, there's medical stuff in it, as in a shark appears on a highway, bites a dude's arm, leg off, and then they have to rescue the person. Instead of me telling you, why don't you watch my reaction? Click here to check it out. And as always, stay happy and healthy.